My name's Roddy Cowie. I'm a professor of psychology in Belfast. I'm fascinated by the work that's being done on emotion and ME because I work on emotion and have personal experience of ME. It seems to me that there are lots of obvious connections, and that the frustrating thing is that people don't have the background to see how obvious the connections are. For instance, people seem to find it puzzling that emotion can affect your health. But emotion is constantly affecting your heart rate, your blood vessels, the hormones in your bloodstream. That's what it does. Of course it can affect your health. That shouldn't be controversial. And yet, because people are used to an idea where emotion is somewhere in the domain of mind and health is somewhere in the domain of body, they don't see that obviously they'll interact. People are puzzled by the idea that things that you're not conscious of can affect you in the same way as emotions that you are conscious of. But that shouldn't be puzzling at all. One of the oldest stories in the history of emotion is William James telling about meeting a bear in the woods. And he makes the point there that you are running and your heart is pounding and you're breathing deeply before you realize what's going on consciously. Emotions are designed to get you responding to ecologically important situations, and they can't wait for your thinking brain to catch up. So the norm is that you catch up, your thinking brain catches up after the work of adjusting to a situation has been done. Everybody knows this from their experience, and yet when we hear about that sort of issue in the context of ME, people seem to forget the experiences that make it quite familiar. People are puzzled that your emotion can be different from day to day, that what is positive today doesn't have the same effect the next day. But we know from everyday experience that emotion changes, emotion fluctuates. It has its own inner logic, and what comes into the system its effect is dependent on the state the system is in. The most blatantly obvious example is your reaction to food. Something that will fill you with delight when you're hungry will fill you with horror when you've just eaten far too much. The stimulus is the same, but your state is different. Emotion-related states are always changing, and there should be no surprise that they're unstable. The interesting thing to me is that all of these things are part of normal, everyday experience. Everybody knows them, and yet somehow or other, when we come into a medical context, we push them out of our mind and think we ought to be thinking about the body as a machine and the mind as a curious ghost hovering above it. And yet nobody really thinks that's true. The curious thing is that somehow or other we continue to think that way in the special context of medicine. Now, I don't know why that is, but I do know that it's damaging. And I would like to be able to convey to people some of the things that we know, we understand, that ask us to put aside that kind of concept of a solid physical body and an insubstantial mind floating above it, that we know isn't true, but that keeps swaying our understanding of medical issues. And if I can help to do that, I'll be delighted.